So, welcome back to today's video. Today we're gonna discuss the next episode or the next part of this tree series, which is Pionierbaumarten, Birke, Pappel und Weide. So we're gonna talk about the birch, the poplar, I think, and I don't actually know the translation for that. Poplar and the should be called willow. I'm not quite sure. I think it should be called willow, but yeah, the willow tree, I think. So, as always, we're going to translate word by word, then word by word in the German sentence structure, so the English words in the German sentence structure, and then we're going to translate this in context, so the sentences, yeah. So, let's start. Die weiße Rinde der Birke ist jedem von uns vertraut und wohl auch ihr auffälligstes Merkmal. So this just talks about the birch tree. Die weiße Rinde, the white bark of the birch. Die weiße Rinde der Birke ist jedem, is everyone, von uns, of us, vertraut. There's the word vertrauen, which means trust. In English, of course, also a verb, as always. Und wohl auch ihr auffälligstes Merkmal. Und wohl auch, and apparently, or like, was also, this means feeling good, yeah, well-being, and arguably, or pretty much, apparently, auch ihr auffälligstes Merkmal, also her, or in English, its auffälligstes. This derives from the word auffallen, which means to stand out, strike, attract attention, yeah. So, auffälligstes Merkmal, and apparently, or pretty much currently, I don't know. Also, her most striking characteristic, I think. So, die weiße Rinde der Birke ist jedem von uns vertraut und wohl auch ihr auffälligstes Merkmal. The white bark of the birch is every one of us known, you could say trusted, but known. Und wohl, and currently, or I don't know, also her most striking characteristic, so the white bark of the birch is known to every one of us, and apparently or arguably also her most striking or significant characteristic. So, Pionierbaumarten, Birke, Pappel und Weide. Pionierbaumarten, Pionierbaumarten, tree, species, Birke, birch, poplar, I think, and willow tree, und Weide, and willow tree. So, we're going to read the entire article now. Birken, Pappeln und Weiden sind sogenannte Pionierbaumarten. Das heißt, sie haben sich darauf spezialisiert, als erste Baumarten Freiflächen zu besiedeln. Das können etwa landwirtschaftliche Brachflächen oder Waldflächen sein, die von einem Sturm oder durch Waldbrände zerstört wurden. Pionierbaumarten brauchen viel Licht und sind in der Konkurrenz mit anderen Baumarten meist unterlegen. Es gibt viele verschiedene Arten und auf praktisch allen Waldstandorten in Deutschland können verschiedene dieser Pionierbaumarten wachsen. So gedeihen die Hängebirke, die Zitterpappel und die Saalweide auf trockenen und nährstoffarmen Böden, während die Moorbirke sowie die meisten anderen Pappel- und Weidenarten eher feuchte bis nasse Standorte bevorzugen. Die Pionierbaumarten werden nicht so alt wie die anderen hier erwähnten Baumarten und ihr Holz erzielt mit wenigen Ausnahmen keine hohen Preise. Auf Sturmwurfflächen finden sich durch die angeflogenen Samen oft sehr viele Birkenbäume. Oftmals werden sie zugunsten anderer, angepflanzter Bäume entnommen. Das muss nicht sein. Mit der richtigen Pflege lassen sich hier innerhalb von 50 bis 60 Jahren wertvolle Furnierbäume und ein hervorragender Vorwald erzielen. In der Forstwirtschaft werden die Pionierbaumarten allerdings meist als willkommene Ergänzung, aber nicht als Hauptbaumart angesehen. So. Birken, Pappeln und Weiden sind sogenannte Pionierbaumarten. Birches, poplars and willow trees are so called, genannt, derives from the word nennen, which means to call, nennen. Or to name. So called or so named Pionierbaumarten, pioneer tree species. Das heißt, that means, sie haben sich darauf spezialisiert. They have themselves, thereon, you could say, darauf. We also had that in the previous episode where I went deeper on da, which can either mean locative or because of that. But I think in most cases it's locative, so darauf, there, on, basically spezialisiert. Als erste Baumarten Freiflächen zu besiedeln, so specialized, thereon specialized. Als erste, as first, Baumarten, tree species, plural form, Freiflächen, free, Flächen, derived from the word Fläche, which means area or, what was it again? Fläche with, area or surface, land. So, on free, als erster Baumart Freiflächen, so free areas or free land, zu besiedeln, to, what was it? Besiedeln, this derives from the word siedeln or Siedlung in general. So to settle. So basically to grow on there and populate on there. So das heißt, that means, they have sich darauf spezialisiert, themselves, thereon specialized, als erste, as first, tree species, free areas to settle on or to, I don't know, there is another word probably, to colonize, to be the first tree species to colonize open areas. So that means they have specialized, in German you say themselves, but in English I think you don't, they have specialized on, or have specialized in being the first tree species to colonize free areas, you could say. Das können etwa landwirtschaftliche Brachflächen oder Waldflächen sein, die von einem Sturm oder durch Waldbrände zerstört wurden. Das können, that can, etwa, can either mean about or around in terms of guessing an amount of something, basically, or etwa guessing just anything. So etwa, like in this case it means for example. So this can, for example, Landwirtschaft, Landwirt means host, Schaft means kind of like ship, so land, host, ship, basically. So this means, what was it again? Agricultural. Brachflächen. So here we have a kind of, I wouldn't say keyword, but like a very interesting word, because brach, first of all, in most cases I think it's pronounced brach, or it would be probably pronounced differently, but this is a very old word, or I would say this is a special word, you could rather say. So because it has arrived from, or derived, or evolved from, I think, like a lot of years ago, like hundreds of years ago. And brach basically means broken or destroyed. So this mostly occurs in circumstances where you have an expression like brach liegen. I think it's not written as one, if I'm correct. Lie fallow or something. Yeah, lie fallow. Think it should be. I'm just gonna ask. Brach liegen. Oh no. Is it actually written? Yeah, apparently it's written together. Yeah, it makes sense, but I wasn't too sure because I personally haven't ever properly written that word in my life, because it's a very, very old word and very rarely used. And so Brachflächen, because Brach, this is also very interesting, derives probably, if I'm being correct here, or if I'm guessing correctly, it derives from the word brechen, which means to break, and can also mean to throw up or break. And if we put that in the past tense, for example, I say es brach, or for example, der Stock brach unter mir. Der Stock. The stick broke beneath me or something, or der Boden brach unter mir ein. Bricht is the what's it called? The form of right now, the present form. So brach, this is not correct, Google. I just want to say brach. So brach is the past form, and Brachflächen, it's kind of interesting because normally you would probably say Bruchflächen or something like that, but brach is kind of a word in its own, I don't know, but that is very, like, it's not a usual word, you could say, and it's very old. So this was what I was just trying to emphasize, that this word is very rare and has evolved over time. So yeah, this is a special word, you could say. And in terms of this, Brachflächen, this just means brach liegen, so this derives from the word brach liegen, as I explained earlier, brach liegen, which means like fallow, so be left unexploited, apparently. And it probably has also this kind of meaning where nothing is kind of used of it, but I think it just means that there is an area which is not being used, which is basically just ruins, you could say, of what was there before. So, for example, das Land liegt brach nach dem Krieg. The land lies fallow after the war because everything is in ruins, or nach dem Waldbrand liegt das Land brach. And in this case, das Land, of course, refers to the I don't know, the what's it called? Not the land like in terms of country in Germany, because land in most cases means country, but in terms of the agricultural area, you could say. So, Brachflächen, so there's just, I kind of explained that, so broken down or not used or rotten or whatever kind of areas. In terms of agriculture, so basically fallen trees, not used, not a lot of trees, I think you get what I mean. Oder Waldflächen, forest areas sein. B, die von einem Sturm, the of a storm, oder durch, through, Waldbrände, forest, this derives from the word Brand, or brennen, burn, and of course Brand is of course also, I think, I don't know, it's probably not a burn, but firing, it's fire, of course, but so forests, I was about to say forest burns, but of course forest fires, you could say, but wildfire, I think it's called, or forest fires. So, or through wildfires, zerstört, being destroyed. Zer is also a prefix to express that you basically tear something apart, that you destroy its order that it had before and make it into something new. For example, the word, I don't know, I'm just gonna say words that come to my mind. Zermetzeln, for example, in terms of food, slaughter, or can also be in terms of murder, or usually has negative meanings. Zerstören, zernehmen. Even though, yeah, this is not too common, but yeah, you can use that. Zerlegen, take apart. You see here, destroy, dismantle, apart. I think you get what I mean. Or zermatschen, zertrampeln, maybe. Or for example, even zerdenken. You kind of destroy or overthink, destructively think basically something until you don't have a lot of like kind of thoughts left or something like that. And yeah, durch Waldbrände zerstört wurden, destroyed were being or have been. So, das können etwa landwirtschaftliche Brachflächen oder Waldflächen sein, die von einem Sturm oder durch Waldbrände zerstört wurden. This can, for example, in this case, but in general means around about, approximately, landwirtschaftliche, agricultural, broken down areas or forest areas be that from or by or off a storm or through forest fires or wildfires destroyed well-being. So this can, for example, be left over or broken down areas or forest areas, or this can be broken down areas or forest areas that were being agricultural areas actually that were being destroyed by a storm or by forest fires. So, next sentence. Pionierbaumarten, tree species. Pionierbaumarten brauchen viel Licht und sind in der Konkurrenz mit anderen Baumarten meist unterlegen. Pioneer tree species brauchen need viel, a lot of, much, Licht, light und and sind in der the concurrence, is it? No, competition, I think. Because I think concurrency or something. Concurrency is something else. Übereinstimmung. Gleichzeitigkeit. So, something that happens at the same time, apparently. And, in der Konkurrenz, in the competition, with, anderen, other, plural form, Baumarten, tree species, meist, mostly, unterlegen, underlaid basically, and this is also very, you could say I always say metaphor, but it's kind of like graphically explaining what it means. So underlaid, just, or maybe visually explaining, kind of just says that you're, how do I say that, like behind, you're not the one that comes out on top basically, so not the winner. Unterlegen can also mean lay something under something. So inferior, yeah, the defeated. Can also mean put underneath. For example, in German we have this word Unterlegscheiben, which is washes, interesting, which I'm just going to show you. It looks like that. Those are the things. And this is basically exactly what it means for screws, the ones that I think, mostly the ones that are going into a, what's it called? Gewinde. So, yeah, threaded, or thread. So, I think it's mostly for Schrauben. That's the German word for screws. Also is a verb. For those screws which go into a pre-threaded, apparently, thread or something, in contrary to these, and I think it's mostly used for these, but can also, of course, be used for these. But I'm not quite sure. Depends. So, Pionierbaumarten, pioneer tree species, need a lot of light and are in the composition with other tree species mostly inferior, you could say. And this is of course an adjective in this case. Es gibt viele verschiedene Arten und auf praktisch allen Waldstandorten in Deutschland können verschiedene dieser Pionierbaumarten wachsen. Es gibt, as always, this means there is, viele, many, verschiedene, different, there are some words scheiden, which means to part, divorce, also literally divorce. Sich scheiden lassen means to divorce. Sich scheiden lassen, to get divorced, yeah. But scheiden in general means just to tear something apart. For example, scheiden. There's this word scheide, not just, which is the feminine, what do you call this? Lower part, you could say, the feminine, I think you get what I mean. But there's also this word Scheidestätte, which is for example, Scheide, gold, which is where you filter, I think, gold from stones or whatever. Rheinische Scheidestätte, for example. This is for making gold, I think. Yeah, but I think it's not too important for us now. So, verschieden, this is just, schieden is the past form, verschieden, different, so something that went apart from something else, so different. Arten, species und auf praktisch and on practically allen all Waldstandorten, tree standort. We also had that in, I think, one of the first episodes, which means locations in, so tree locations in Deutschland, in Germany, können, can, verschiedene. Also we have that again, different, dieser, of these. Again, this interesting genitive form, which is, I think, unique to German. Pionierbaumarten, pioneer tree species, wachsen, grow, so gedeihen, so of course, this was the end of the sentence. So, es gibt viele verschiedene Arten und auf praktisch allen Waldstandorten in Deutschland können verschiedene dieser Pionierbaumarten wachsen. There are many different tree species and on practically all tree locations in Germany can different of these pioneer tree species grow. So there are many different tree species and on practically all tree locations in Germany can grow different ones of these pioneer tree species. So, next sentence. So gedeihen die Hängebirke, die Pappel und die Saalweide auf trockenen und nährstoffarmen Böden, während die Moorbirke sowie die meisten der anderen Pappel- und Weidenarten eher feuchte bis nasse Standorte bevorzugen. So, let me just take a sip of my water. So gedeihen, I don't know where "dien" or something derives from. It doesn't have to do anything with die in English, if you ask him. And so gedeihen. Anyways, gedeihen should mean to basically blossom. Gedeihen, thrive. Yeah, basically to thrive. So thrive. So gedeihen. Die Hängebirke, the hanging birch, probably has a different name, as always. Weeping birch. Die Zitterpappel, the something poplar, whatever. Aspen, interesting. The aspen und die Saalweide, and the Saal in general means a hall. Is this written goat willow? I don't know. Maybe there is a spelling mistake. Saalweide. This is the older way of writing it. Veraltete means older or having become old. Schreibweise, writing way or way of writing. Saalweide. So older way of writing. And so this is kind of still correct, but in general it's, according to Wikipedia, written sei Weide. So, and it means goat willow. I don't know what it has to do with goats, but yeah. So thrive the weeping birch, the aspen and the goat willow auf trockenen, on dry und nährstoffarmen and what was it again? Nährstoff. Nutrient armen. First of all, there's this word arm, which is called arm, and in terms of being poor. So in this case, it means nutrient poor, basically. So not having a lot of nutrients. My God. And Boden is just the plural form of Boden. Yeah, nutrient poor. Interesting. So floors or soils, rather, in this case. So what I was wanted to say is that also sei means big hall, maybe, what was it called? Foyer or something? No, saloon. German, we have this word foyer, or probably derived from the French word foyer or something. I don't know if it's pronounced that way, which just means lobby, entrance hall. I don't know, but probably it doesn't mean that, but yeah, it just means big hall, saloon. So, sei Weide, auf trockenen nährstoffarmen Böden, while, die Moorbirke, by the way, when thinking about it, während probably derives from the word waren. First of all, wahr means true, and waren is just to exist strongly over a certain amount of time, if I'm thinking about it. So because the word bewahren is to preserve something, or verwahren, to preserve something securely, store something, and während probably it just means while, but während just means that something is going on. So that existing, basically, it could technically mean existingly, something like that. Anyways, that's very diving deeply into these roots of the words, but we're just gonna translate the next ones. Die Moorbirke, the Moorbirke. Moor means I don't know what's it called. Interesting. Moor birch. Moorbirke. Moor in general means is it moor? Interesting. Because we also have that word jauche, liquid manure, sewage, itche or icker. Interesting. Because what I mean is moor means Feuchtgebiet, in dem Torf entsteht. So basically a wet area where torf, this means peat, so where peat is existing, you could say. And yeah, so torf, what I also wanted to say is that torf is, I think, that kind of material which is kind of the reason why we have why we have electricity, because from torf, this kind of coal and all of that is existing, or is being created, not from torf, from peat. What was it called? From peat. It kind of like is being created, but I'm not quite sure, something like that, where like the coal and things are underneath. I'm not quite sure, but anyways, Moorbirke. English. Let me just. Interesting. More Birke. Actually, is it more pubescent birch? Interesting. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just gonna say pubescent birch, but I'm not quite sure. So gedeihen die Hängebirke, the weeping birch, so thrive the weeping birch, blah blah blah. Sowie, as well as the most anderen other Pappel, Poplar and Weidenarten, willow trees, eher, so more or rather, feuchte, wet bis nasse until, or moist until wet, Standorte, which also means locations as we had here, bevorzugen. So prefer, bevorzugen, Vorzug, vorziehen, prefer. Ziehen in general means to pull. Vorziehen, prefer. Vorzug. Zug is basically the nominalization of ziehen, so Zug, which means preference. Also, by the way, Zug means train. So, bevorzugen also means to prefer or to basically pull first. So, yeah, prefer something. So gedeihen die Hängebirke, die Zitterpappel und die Saalweide auf trockenen und nährstoffarmen Böden, während die Moorbirke sowie die meisten anderen Pappel- und Weidenarten eher feuchte bis nasse Standorte bevorzugen. So thrive the weeping birch, the aspen, and the, what was it again? Forgot. And the goat willow on dry and nutrient-poor soils, whilst the pubescent birch, as well as the most other poplar and willow trees, rather moist up to or until wet locations prefer. So thrive the weeping birch, the aspen, and the goat willow thrive on dry and nutrient poor soils, whilst the pubescent birch and most other poplar and willow trees prefer moist up until wet locations. So, die Pionierbaumarten werden nicht so alt wie die anderen hier erwähnten Baumarten und ihr Holz erzielt mit wenigen Ausnahmen keine hohen Preise. Die Pionierbaumarten, the pioneer tree species, become, or will be, in this case become, or turn, nicht so alt, not so old, so turn old, or get old, wie die anderen, like the others, here, or other, here, erwähnten, mentioned, Baumarten, tree species, and her wood, or their wood, erzielt, mit wenigen Ausnahmen, erzielt. We also had that in some previous article in this section where they talk about the prices. Basically schools, or is being sold, kind of. Erzielt mit wenigen Ausnahmen. Basically schools with little exceptions, Ausnahmen, so outtakes, exceptions, keine hohen Preise, no high prices. So I'm just gonna Google translate that because I'm curious what it's gonna say. Pioneer tree species do not live as long as the other tree species mentioned here, and with few exceptions their wood does not fetch high prices. Oh, fetch high prices. Interesting. So, auf Sturmwurfflächen finden sich durch die angeflogenen Samen oft sehr viele Birkenbäume. On storm, Wurf, so throw, basically. Flächen, areas. On storm, throw, areas. So basically an area where storm has thrown a lot of I don't know, trees somewhere, I guess, or like in German we say entwurzelt, uprooted, maybe a lot of trees, find themselves, through die angeflogenen, flown, unflown, basically it just means flown to this place, Samen, which means seeds, often, sehr, very, viele, many, Birkenbäume, birch trees, so on Sturmwurfflächen. Stormfeld areas, this is incorrect what we were saying here, find themselves through the angeflogenen, approached, yeah, maybe this is more correct. Seeds, often very, very many birch trees, so they grow there often. Oftmals werden sie zugunsten anderer angepflanzter Bäume entnommen. Oftmals, oftentimes, mal is basically once or a time, oft, so oftentimes, werden, are being, sie, they, zugunsten, gunst means advantage basically, or the will of someone, I guess. So zugunsten, to the will of someone or to the advantage of someone. Anderer, I'm just going to translate gunst. Curious what it's going to say. Favor. Interesting. Goodwill, yeah. Anderer, other, angepflanzter, which means planted there. Bäume, trees, entnommen, ent, apart, nommen, derives from the word nehmen, because the third past form is after nahm. It's genommen. So taken apart. And yeah. Entnommen. Das muss nicht sein. So, no, the sentence, so oftentimes they are taken apart, or the seeds are taken out of the ground for the favor of other planted there, other trees planted there. Das muss nicht sein, that must not be. Mit der richtigen Pflege lassen sich hier innerhalb von 50 bis 60 Jahren wertvolle Furnierbäume und ein hervorragender Vorwald erzielen. Mit der richtigen Pflege, with the right care, you could say, lassen, let, sich, themselves, here means here, innerhalb, in, half, so within, basically. Innerhalb just means within. Von 50, innerhalb von, lassen sich innerhalb 50, ja, innerhalb von 50, of course. Innerhalb von 50, so within of 50 until 60 years, 50 bis 60 Jahren, wertvolle Furnierbäume, so valuable, worth, full, Furnierbäume, I don't know what Furnier means, but I think it has something to do with furniture. Veneer, so Furnier. Blätter aus Holz. So basically it means trees for the use of furniture, not for just furniture, for the use of being cut, being used. Wertvolle Furnierbäume, and a hervorragend, this derives from the word vorragen, or hervorragen, which means to stick out, be prominent in this case, like in terms of seeing something. And hervorragend means excellent, so within 50, 60 years, and an excellent Vorwald, which means before forest, so a forest in front of the actual forest, basically, so a kind of lighter version of it, I guess. Erzielen also means score, as I said in some previous episode. and as Google said, but translated it to fetch. So with the right care lets itself here within 50 to 60 years valuable Pionierbäume, veneer trees, and an excellent Vorwald foothills being scored. So this just means I'm interested in what Google would say. 50, yeah. With proper care, valuable veneer trees and an excellent primary forest can be achieved here within 50 to 60 years. So foothills was apparently incorrect, kind of. Ja, so. In der Forstwirtschaft werden die Pionierbaumarten allerdings meist als willkommene Ergänzung, aber nicht als Hauptbaumart angesehen. In der Forstwirtschaft, in the agriculture or something, like of trees. Forestry, of course. In the forestry werden, will be or are being, so passive or will be, die Pionierbaumarten, the pioneer tree species, allerdings, though, everything, but it just means, ding means thing, though, in this case, meist, mostly, als willkommene, welcome, or a welcomed Ergänzung. This means the Russian word ganz, which means entire. And Ergänzung means completion, basically. Not completion, like added, addition. Ergänzung, addition, aber, but, nicht, not, als, as, Hauptbaumart, main, Haupt means main, derives from a very old word or meaning of it, which means head, mein Haupt, my head, mein Kopf, basically. So, main Baumart, main tree species, angesehen, being seen or being viewed as. So, in the forestry are being the pioneer tree species, though mostly as a welcome addition, but not as a main tree species. Are being seen, did I say that? Anyways, I'm not gonna let Google translate that correctly. In forestry, however, pioneer tree species are usually seen as a welcome addition, but not as the main tree species. So, that was it for today. I hope you liked this video. Leave a like, leave a comment if you want to, as always. Subscribe if you want to. And see you in the next video. Bye!